The twin moons of Velora shine softly over the quiet alien colony as Evan Carter stepped out of his small transport shuttle and looked at his new home. The night air smelled different here, like warm metal and sweet leaves, and the ground glowed faintly with violet dust. It was a peaceful place, or at least that was what he hoped when he signed the contract to work as a mechanic on this mixed human-alien settlement. But he had been on Velora for only one day when something strange already happened. His neighbor, an alien man named Roluk, approached him with a very serious face. Roluk was tall, with dark blue skin marked by silver lines that moved slowly like liquid light. His voice was deep, calm, and usually friendly. But tonight, he looked tense. Roluk stopped only a few steps from Evan and said, "Human, I must warn you. My sister, she enters heat season tonight." Evan blinked slowly. Heat season? What does that mean? Roluk looked around as if checking who might be listening. Then he leaned a little closer. "It means she will be unstable, emotional, sensitive, vulnerable, and dangerous in ways you do not understand." He paused, his silver eyes narrowing. "You must keep your door locked, no matter what you hear. Do you understand?" Evan nodded, though confusion spread through his mind. "Yeah, sure, I'll stay inside." Roluk did not seem satisfied. "No, you must lock your door. Humans sometimes do foolish things. They open doors when they hear crying. They step outside when someone knocks. Do not do that." Evan raised both hands. "All right, I won't open it." Roluk stared at him for one more long moment, then finally said, "Good. Heat season starts when the moons cross. You will know when it begins. Stay safe." Then he walked away, leaving Evan with more questions than answers. Later that night, Evan stood in his small living room, trying to read instructions for a new toolkit, but he kept thinking about Roluk's warning. He wasn't afraid, just curious. Why did the aliens treat this heat season like something dangerous? And why keep a girl locked during that time? Evan shook his head. "Their culture is different," he whispered to himself. "Just follow the rules." But when he looked at his front door, he hesitated. Should he lock it? He walked to the door and placed his hand on the control pad. The lock flashed red, meaning it was still open. He could lock it with one tap, but for some reason, he didn't. Maybe because he didn't feel any danger. Maybe because he thought Roluk was only being overprotective. Maybe because part of him wanted to understand this place more. Or maybe because something deep inside whispered that tonight would not be normal. He took a deep breath and stepped away. The lock stayed red. The heat season began exactly when the moons crossed in the sky. At first, Evan noticed the air outside change. The glowing insects, normally quiet at night, started flying in strange patterns, like they were confused or scared. A soft humming sound came from the forest, and the wind carried a low vibration, almost like a heartbeat. Evan felt it through the walls. Then he heard footsteps. Soft, slow, barely touching the ground. They stopped right outside his door. Evan froze. He waited, trying to guess what kind of creature it was. The footsteps were like someone small, not large. Maybe a child? Maybe Roluk's sister? He told himself to ignore it. Just stay calm. But then he heard something else. A soft sniff. Then a quiet, trembling voice. A girl's voice. "Is someone there?" Evan held his breath. The voice didn't sound dangerous. It sounded scared. He stepped toward the door slowly. But Roluk's warning echoed in his mind. "Do not open the door. No matter what you hear." Evan whispered to himself. Maybe it's just a sick girl. Maybe she needs help. Another sound came, a gentle scratching on the metal door, like a weak hand sliding down its surface. The sound tightened something inside Evan's chest. Then the power flickered. The lights went off, leaving only the pale moonlight coming through the windows. Evan's house fell silent and cold. Outside, the humming grew louder. Evan moved closer to the door, each step slow and careful. The red Lock light glowed faintly, the only bright thing in the room. He stood only an arm's length from the door when a shadow appeared under it, a pair of small feet, standing still. Then a silhouette formed against the frosted glass of the upper panel, a thin figure, shoulders shaking, hands clasped near the chest, and eyes, two glowing violet eyes staring directly into the house. Evan swallowed hard. "Hello." The silhouette shifted. He knew he should stay silent. He knew he should lock the door. But something inside told him that this person was not here to hurt him. The voice came again, softer now. "Please, I didn't want to be alone." Evan hesitated. He could feel his heartbeat. He remembered Raluk saying she would be unstable. But this girl did not sound like a danger. She sounded like someone trying to survive something painful. The colony was quiet. Too quiet. The insects stopped glowing. Even the wind held its breath. Evan raised his hand and touched the door panel. The lock flashed. He hesitated for the last time. Then he unlocked it. The door slid open, halfway with a soft hiss. Moonlight spilled inside, and Evan finally saw her. She was small, maybe 18 or 19 in human years, with glowing patterns on her skin that pulsed softly like waves. Her hair was long, floating slightly as if touched by invisible air. Her eyes were bright violet, filled with pain, fear, and exhaustion. Her name, though Evan did not know it yet, was Lyra. She stepped back slightly when the door opened, as if she didn't expect him to actually open it. Evan's heart thumped. "Are you okay?" She tried to speak, but her voice cracked. I didn't know where else to go." Her legs trembled, and she almost collapsed. Evan instinctively moved forward to catch her, but stopped at the last second. Raluk's warning shouted inside his mind. "Do not touch her. Do not open the door." But Lyra's knees buckled again. Evan could not just watch her fall. He reached out. His hand touched her arm. Her skin was hot, burning hot, but soft like silk. A strange pulse traveled through his fingers, like static electricity mixed with warmth. Lyra's breath hitched, and her glowing lines brightened suddenly. Evan stepped back in shock. What's happening to you?" She shook her head weakly. "I ran away. They want to lock me in the isolation chamber. I can't go back. Please, don't send me back." Her voice broke at the end, and tears formed in her glowing eyes. Before Evan could answer, a loud sound echoed through the colony. Heavy footsteps. Alien voices, searching. Lyra turned toward the noise with pure fear. "They're coming." Evan looked at his open door, then at the trembling girl, then at the empty street with shadows moving in the distance. He had only two choices: close the door and pretend he never saw her, or let her inside and break the alien law. He took a deep breath, made his decision, and whispered, "Come in." Lyra looked up at him with wide eyes, as if she didn't believe a human would help her. Evan stepped aside. Opening the door fully, she entered his home. And as the door slid shut behind her, the last thing Evan saw through the window was a group of alien guards staring at his house from the darkness. Their eyes were glowing, and they knew exactly where she went. Evan shut the door quietly, but his heart was beating fast. The room was dark, except for the soft glow coming from Lyra's skin. She stood trembling, holding her arms close to her body, as if she were trying to keep herself from falling apart. Her breathing was uneven. Her eyes kept flicking toward the door, as if she expected someone to burst in at any moment. And slowly stepped toward her. "Sit down. You look like you're going to faint." Lyra didn't argue. She moved to the small couch, her legs shaking with every step. When she sat, she curled her fingers on the edge of the cushion, holding it tightly. Evan switched on a dim lantern. Soft yellow light filled the room, mixing with Lyra's violet glow. She looked even more fragile under the light. Her glowing skin patterns flickered like small stars fighting to stay alive. "Are you hurt?" Evan asked, kneeling beside her. Lyra closed her eyes. "Not hurt, just overwhelmed. Heat season makes everything stronger. Pain, sound, emotion, even fear. Her voice cracked at the last word. Evan didn't know what to say. Human understanding of Valoran heat season was very limited. Most humans avoided the subject completely. "Why did you run away from your home?" he asked gently. Lyra opened her eyes slowly. "Because they wanted to put me in the isolation chamber." "I assumed it was for safety," Evan said carefully. Rollick said. She interrupted him with a soft shake of her head. "Safety? No, it is torture. The walls amplify every sound. The lights are too bright. The air feels like it is burning. They say it keeps us calm, but it only makes the heat worse. Only our ancestors used those chambers, and many did not survive." Evan felt cold inside his chest. "Your brother made it sound like a normal thing. He does not know I am in the extreme phase," she whispered. "Some sisters like me cannot survive isolation." Evan stared at her, shocked. "Why didn't you tell him?" She shook her head again, tears filling her glowing eyes. "Valoran families feel shame if a sister is too weak. They hide it. They pretend everything is fine. Roluk would never admit I needed special care." Evan suddenly understood why Roluk was tense earlier, why he kept repeating the warning, why he was afraid. It wasn't Lyra, he feared it was losing her. Before he could speak, Lyra gasped softly. She placed a hand over her chest. A pulse of bright light moved across her skin like a wave. Evan stood up quickly. "Lyra, what's happening?" She breathed faster, struggling to talk. "My fever. Rising. The heat is too strong." Evan felt panic rising inside him. "What do I do? Do you need water? Something cold?" She shook her head with effort. "No, not water. I need low light. Calm. No noise." Her voice trembled. "And please don't touch me again. Not unless you must." Evan nodded quickly and dimmed the lantern until the room was almost dark. Lyra relaxed slightly, though her breathing was still uneven. He stood nearby, unsure if he should sit or move away. Then there was a loud knock on the door. Bang! Bang! Lyra jumped, her eyes wide with terror. Her glowing patterns flashed violently. Evan whispered, "Stay quiet." He walked to the door as silently as possible. Through the small security screen, he saw them 3 alien guards with heavy armor and glowing red symbols on their helmets, and behind them, Roluk. His expression was full of worry and anger. One of the guards shouted, "Human, open your door. We know she is inside." Evan's blood turned cold. He opened the door slightly, leaving the security latch still on. "What are you talking about?" The guard stepped forward aggressively. "Roluk's sister escaped. Heat season protocols are broken. If she touches a human, it is a violation of our ancient laws." Evan kept his face calm. "I haven't seen her." Roluk stepped forward, eyes glowing faintly. "Evan, do not lie. Her energy trail ends here." Evan tried to keep his voice steady. "Even if she came here, maybe she just passed by. You know these scanners sometimes glitch." The guard leaned forward, narrowing his glowing eyes. "We are allowed to search your home." Evan's heart dropped. He knew he couldn't let them do that. "Not without a human permit," he said firmly. The guard snarled in frustration. "Permit will come in 1 hour." That meant they would be back. Rayleigh looked at Evan quietly, then said, "If she is inside, she will not survive without help. The heat phase tonight is extreme. She needs the chamber." Evan wanted to tell him the truth. He wanted to help Rollick understand, but Lyra had said she would die in the chamber. Evan couldn't risk that. He stayed silent. Rollick stared at him for a long, painful moment. Then he turned and walked away with the guards, disappearing into the glowing dust of the colony pathway. Evan shut the door and locked it immediately. When he turned around, Lyra was standing behind him, tears streaming down her glowing cheeks. "You lied for me," she whispered. "You would have done the same," he said softly. She shook her head weakly. "No, humans are different. You help even when you don't understand." She stumbled, almost falling, and Evan caught her before she hit the floor. This time, he didn't hesitate. He wrapped his arm around her waist and held her up. Her body was burning hot, like she had a strong fever. A surge of energy passed between them, warm, electric, powerful. Lyra gasped sharply. Evan quickly pulled her to the couch and helped her sit down. "What was that?" he asked. Lyra looked away. "Heat season reacts to touch, but when the touch is kind, it forms a connection." Evan blinked slowly. "A connection? What does that mean?" She didn't answer, not directly. Instead, she whispered, "Humans are not supposed to touch a heat sister. If they do, it creates a bond." "A bond?" Evan repeated. "Like what? A friendship?" She shook her head. "Like a marriage." Evan froze. "What? No, that can't be a real rule." "It is our culture," she said softly. "If a human touches a heat sister with intention to protect, the bond is made. We cannot change it." Evan ran both hands through his hair. "I wasn't trying to marry you. I was trying to stop you from falling." "I know," she whispered sadly, "but the law doesn't care." Evan let out a long breath and sat down across from her. "Lyra, what happens now?" She looked down at her glowing hands. "Now, your life is in danger. If the guards know you touched me, they will take you away. And if they take me to the chamber, I will not survive." Evan stared at her, stunned. Two lives were now tied together, because he opened a door. "You need to rest," he said gently. "Tomorrow, I'll figure something out." "No," she whispered, shaking her head. "Tonight is the worst phase. I cannot make it till tomorrow unless—" "Unless what?" Evan asked. She hesitated. "Unless someone helps calm my heat. Someone who is not afraid of me. Someone who is not cruel." Evan understood what she meant. He didn't know what to say. He didn't want to misunderstand anything or cross any line, so he simply asked, "What do you need me to do?" Lyra looked at him, eyes glowing softly. "Stay close. Keep the light low. Speak to me. Make me feel safe. My body will calm if my heart feels safe." Evan nodded slowly. "I can do that." He sat near her on the floor as she rested on the couch. He kept the lantern dim. He spoke gently, telling her stories from Earth. She listened quietly, her breathing slowly becoming steadier. Hours passed. Outside, strange shadows moved past the window. The guards were still searching. Inside, Lyra finally closed her eyes, her glowing patterns calming like fading waves. Before she fell asleep, she whispered, "You opened your door, and you opened my fate." Evan looked at her, feeling something he couldn't explain. And then he heard it, heavy footsteps again. The guards had returned. Evan stood completely still when he heard the footsteps outside, heavy, slow, and full of purpose. The kind of footsteps that belonged to soldiers, not neighbors. His heartbeat quickened, each thump loud in his ears. Lyra's eyes opened slightly. She was still weak, her glowing patterns pulsing faintly. "They are back," she whispered, fear shaking her voice. Evan moved close to her. "Stay quiet, I will handle it." But she grabbed his wrist with surprising strength. "Evan, if they take me, I will not survive the chamber. You must not let them enter." Her hand trembled on his skin. Her touch sent another warm pulse through him, the same strange bond energy he felt earlier. Evan gently removed her hand, though the warmth lingered. "Trust me," he said softly. "I won't let them take you." He stood up and walked toward the door, every step heavy with fear and responsibility. When he reached the door, he kept the latch on and opened it just a crack. 3 alien guards stood there again, their armor glowing in the moonlight. Their eyes burned with red light. Behind them stood Roluk, his expression filled with worry and anger mixed together. The lead guard spoke, his voice harsh. "Human Evan Carter, step aside. We have the permit to enter and search." Evan felt his chest tighten. There was no more legal excuse. They could force their way in now. Ralloc stepped closer, staring directly into Evan's eyes. "My sister is dying. We must find her." Evan clenched his jaw. "Ralloc, she came to me. She was scared. The chamber will kill her." Ralluc's face twitched. "You do not understand our ways." "I don't need to," Evan snapped. "I understand pain." She was terrified. She begged me for help. The guards shifted, their glowing helmets humming softly. The lead guard narrowed his eyes. "Human, if you touched her, if you formed the bond, you have broken the ancient law. You will be punished." Evan spoke clearly. "I didn't ask for a bond. I tried to help someone who was falling." "That is enough to seal it," the guard replied coldly. Ralloc raised a hand, stopping the guard from speaking further. He stepped even closer, his silver eyes glowing brighter. "Evan," he said softly, voice shaking, "where is my sister?" Evan looked at him, really looked at him. This wasn't anger, it was fear. Not fear of Evan. Fear of losing Lyra. Evan took a slow breath. "She's inside, but she's resting. And she's suffering. If you take her now, she will not survive." Ralluc's eyes trembled. Evan continued, "Let me help her through the night. If she survives, then we can talk about what happens next." The guards immediately shouted, "No! Heat season cannot be handled by humans. This is forbidden." But Ralluc raised his hand again, silencing them. After a long silence, he finally said, "Let me see her." Evan hesitated. He didn't know if Lyra wanted that. He didn't know if Ralloc would try to force her out. But before Evan could reply, a soft voice came from behind him. "It's all right. Let him in." Evan turned. Lyra was standing weakly near the couch, holding onto the backrest for support. Her body was glowing softly, her eyes tired but calm. Ralloc froze when he saw her. His chest rose sharply as if he had been holding his breath for hours. "Lyra," he whispered, stepping forward. She raised a hand weakly. "Brother, don't force me." "Please." Ralloc stopped in place, pain filling his expression. "You should have told me," he said softly. "I didn't know the chamber would hurt you." Lyra looked down. "I was ashamed." Ralloc clenched his fists. "I just wanted you safe." Evan stepped back, giving them space but staying alert. One of the guards pushed forward. "Ralloc, enough. She must enter the chamber." "The law demands silence," Ralloc growled, the silver patterns on his skin flaring with anger. "My sister's life is worth more than a law written by ancestors who feared what they did not understand." The guard stiffened. "You are breaking tradition." "Then let me break it," Ralloc said firmly. Evan felt a wave of relief, but it faded when Lyra suddenly gasped and collapsed to her knees. Evan rushed forward, catching her. Her skin burned like fire. Her glowing patterns flickered dangerously. "Her fever is rising fast," Evan said urgently. "She needs help now." Ralloc knelt beside them. "There is only one place where heat fever can be cooled safely, the ancient spring in the forest." Evan looked at him. "Then let's take her there." The guards blocked the door instantly. "No one leaves. The area is restricted tonight." Ralloc stood tall, towering over the guards. "Move." The guards hesitated, confused by Ralluc's authority. Then Ralluc looked at Evan. "Carry her. I will protect you both." Evan didn't think twice. He lifted Lyra gently in his arms. Her body glowed brightly now, light spilling between his fingers. The guards shouted behind them, but Ralloc roared back, his skin shining like metal fire. Evan ran into the night with Lyra in his arms. The forest was alive with glowing plants and soft humming sounds. The ancient spring lay hidden deep inside, glowing like a pool of stars. Lyra opened her weak eyes. "We're close." Evan lowered her near the water's edge. The moment her fingers touched the glowing surface, the spring reacted, its light rising like gentle waves. Ralloc arrived behind them, panting. "Put her in the water. It will cool her heat." Evan hesitated. "Will it hurt her?" "No," Ralloc said. "It will save her." Evan helped Lyra into the glowing spring. The water shimmered around her, and her glowing pattern softened. But something unexpected happened. The water reacted not only to Lyra, but to Evan. A soft glowing line extended from Lyra's chest to Evan's hand. Reluk's eyes widened. The bond, it is real. Evan looked at his hand, shocked. What does that mean? Reluk spoke slowly, carefully. When a human touches a heat sister with true intention to protect, the bond forms. It connects their life energy. It can heal her, but it ties your fate to hers. Evan stared at Lyra. Her breathing steadied. Her eyes opened slowly. You saved me, she whispered. You are my bond now. The forest grew silent. Even Reluk bowed his head. Evan Carter, by ancient law, you are now Lyra's chosen. Not because of desire, but because of your heart. Evan knelt beside the spring. Lyra, I didn't know this would happen. I know, she said softly. That is why it matters. He swallowed, emotions rising inside him. What happens now? Reluk placed a hand on Evan's shoulder. Now, you are family, and you have our respect. No one will touch you. No one will harm her. The guards arrived, but when they saw Reluk kneeling and Lyra glowing gently in the spring, they understood. The law had spoken. The bond was complete. Evan helped Lyra out of the water. She stood on weak legs, leaning on him, her glowing patterns now calm and beautiful. As dawn arrived, the first golden light touched the forest. Lyra looked at Evan and whispered, You left your door open, and you let destiny in. Evan smiled softly, and I'd open it again. Reluk stepped beside them. Come, both of you, a new life begins. Together, they walked back toward the colony. Evan, Lyra, and Reluk are strangers, but something much closer. A family formed by courage, choice, and an open door.